Well, while you are considering, okay, that's it, here we go, right. He writes, yesterday, the 5th of October, was a working day. On a special note, where were you physically and mentally? And what did you do normally and differently? He goes on to say, there is no right or wrong answer to these questions since they are about personal events and activities. These are just facts. He continues, well, while you are considering my questions and your answers, here are two other facts to reflect on. Number one, you are reading my missive today because you can read. Number two, you can read because someone or some people somewhere taught you how to read. Yes, it is easy to forget that we were not born readers. It is easy to forget that there was a time we could not read essays like this one. It is easy to forget that there are still people who cannot read. He goes on to say, I admit we were not taught to do so, but I recommend that once in a while we pause to reflect on these facts so that they can remember, so that we can remember that some of those things we have can do and take, some of those things we have can do and take for granted were and are still the wishes and prayers of others. Some of the things we have can do and take for granted are fruits of the endeavors of some other people. Yesterday, Danfo conversationers, yesterday was another World Teachers' Day. It is an event held annually on the same day every year to celebrate all teachers around the globe. It is an occasion designed to commemorate the anniversary of the adoption of the 1966 ILO UNESCO recommendation concerning the status of teachers across the globe. The recommendation sets benchmarks regarding the rights and responsibilities of teachers, standards for their initial preparation and further education, recruitment, employment, as well as teaching and learning condition. If you are one of the very many, too many people that did not remember the World Teachers' Day, let alone do anything about it, it is okay. You will neither be penalized on earth nor go to hell for it. You are in a popular but I think bad company of hundreds of millions. Is my guest joining us? We can't see him. Okay, let me just check because we're waiting for my guest. Okay, so I think he's about to join us. I just received a message from him. Can we see him? Or are we having issues with the connection? Yeah? Are we having issues with the connection? Whilst they sort out that connection, I will go back and finish reading, and hopefully he will join us either now or immediately after the break. So he goes on to say, like I was saying, you're in a popular but I think bad company of hundreds of millions. There were no street lights, nor rallies, no holiday, nor newspaper adverts to celebrate teachers. Yesterday, on the World Teachers' Day, doctors just carried on treating. Bankers went on counting. Diners just read their menus and ordered food. Writers went on writing, and even some teachers went on teaching as if nothing happened, with no thoughts of the teachers that taught them to treat, count, read, write, and teach. This is what we're going to be talking about today. My guest, I can see his phone joining us. Hopefully I'll see his face. This is what we're going to be talking about today. as I said, a subject much more critical and more important to all of us and to society. In actual fact, I would go as far as to argue a subject that is paramount to where we are today, even when you're thinking about those two gentlemen. Yes. Today, it is my pleasure to have with me, yes, my friend. And look, he and I argue a lot on the phone, right? But this is one of the things we don't argue, one of the topics we don't argue about. My dear friend and a friend of the house, he's proper Danfo because he's a fan of the show and you all love him to bits because you know he's a straight talker. I have with me Professor, see, I'm keeping you guys waiting, right? Professor Anthony Killer, who is the Professor of Strategy and Development and the Director of the Commonwealth Institute of Advanced and Professional Studies. Prof, are you with us? Can you hear me, Prof?
Hello, good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. We can't see your face today. Why can't we see your face today? Why are you hiding your face from us?
It's a radio show. Why do you want to see my face?
Because we also Zoom live. I mean, we're live on YouTube and we have people watching. And you show your face to all those other TV stations. Why not us, right? Yeah? Anyway.
I need to get my makeup on.
He hasn't got his wig on, ladies. Lagos, he doesn't have his makeup on either. Look, thank you so much for joining us. Now,
good to be here.
Thank you. So I don't know whether you heard part of your article that I read earlier. Did you hear it?
Yes.
Okay.
In your delightful voice.
Thank you. He's a charmer as well, Lagos.
It was better than it was written.
Thank you. We appreciate. So let's talk about teachers. First and foremost, I'm going to take you back to Anthony, who started nursery school. Take us back to that time, that teacher that you connected with. I know a long time ago.
Well, I think that was a long time ago. Experience. I think my first teacher that I connected with was my first, really. The idea that somebody outside my house would be in charge of me was an experience, I can never forget. Unlike many people, I clearly remember my first day in school. At least what I think was the first day is not, because I started early. And, my experience was that it was clear to me that I was going into the world, because I remember very vividly my mother stopped over me, giving me kisses and redoing my shoes. And my late papa just looking as if these people are straight people. Then, of course, I got people crying, but I'm very excited to be there.
Who was crying? Who was crying?
Well, the other students were crying, the other toddlers were crying there.
Okay.
But I was excited. And this woman who I remember, there were two of them in my class the first day. Very clear to me that they were not my parents and that they were in charge. And somehow, little as I was, it was clear to me that what linked us together was knowledge. That these people were there to teach me. I think I was prepped for it because I was very conscious. I wasn't confused about what I was there for. So I was like, I was sent forward to the world like a sponge. So I remember very well. And I have good memories of my teachers. Unlike most people, even the teachers, from secondary throughout life, even the teachers I don't like, I still like the fact, the challenge they give me,
Yeah.
So from day one, I got very lucky. The first thing that came to my mind was that it's so beautiful.
The first thing that came to your mind was what?
Was that my teacher was beautiful.
I take it as was a female or was it a male?
Yeah, it was a female teacher in my North school. There was
Okay.
a beautiful woman. There's a beautiful Scottish woman.
Okay, interesting. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, what do you want me to say? I had a crush on her?
All right.
It'll be too bad to say I had a crush at such a tender age.
Well,
the crush came later. My first crush was my French teacher. That came later in life. Then
at what
after
age?
that, I jumped out for my literature. I think I was about 9 or so.
Okay.
You know, that was the first woman I liked outside my mother.
Okay.
And they jumped that crush from my literature teacher. Then later I moved on to my economics teacher or something like that. With life, you just grow with these teachers you love. I've always loved my teachers. I always fell in love with them, including my math teacher.
Right. So I'm going to take you back again. The first book that you read, that you actually picked up, not that you had to read, the book that you picked up out of interest of wanting to read. What was that first book? Can you remember?
Oh wow! This is not a good example. It was actually Merchant of Venice, Shakespeare.
What?
But
What? At what age?
I was about at a very tender age. I didn't understand. I was 7. It was very difficult. But he now it's something that got me close to my dad, though.
Okay.
You know, because he was a Shakespeare man, and we discussed it together, and he had to explain a lot of the words to me. Yes, I think Merchant of Venice was my first, you know, as you call it, personal choice to read, to take up.
So, thank you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Lagos, look, we're going to be talking teachers. You will be able to join us if you call 0700 993 9999. The female line is 01465 7190. WhatsApp is 0809 597 5805. Our website is nigeriainfo.fm, and of course, our social media handles: Twitter Nigeria Info FM, Instagram Nigeria Info FM Lagos, Facebook and YouTube Nigeria Info 99.3. My guest is the ever so straight talking, yes, fully Danfoed Professor Anthony Killer, who is also the Direct Commonwealth Institute. What is it? Commonwealth? See, I was trying to pose and then it went off my head. Commonwealth Institute of Advanced Professional Studies. So let's back to your article. The way you started that article, it was a direct challenge at all of us. I sense a sort of a slight hint of irritation that I bet you all forgot this day. Am I correct?
Well, that's correct. Yes, because all the data are highly separate. That give us less than less than we need, or less than has affected our lives. Remember dates of celebrities. I bet everybody remember the birthday of their pastor. Not that the pastor is not important, but they could have gotten in life without their pastor. But not. But the teacher is. So when you started the program, you said words like first and foremost. You talked about things like the theme of today. You use those kind of words. And even though people are not reading, the thought that comes to mind is that no matter how good you are, even if you're native language, there are words that if nobody taught you, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So, that just shows you that our link to life is actually teachers in any shape or form.
Yeah.
And the fact that we don't think about that challenge to say, I bet you just got on with life today, which people did actually.
They
did. A lot of people actually did.
Yes, they did.
Yes,
they did. But our president didn't, and neither obviously our president, or at least the government didn't. Federal government, that is. I don't know what was done in other parts in the states, but certainly the federal government came out and said they were going to be, I think, increasing the money for teachers, etc., and how we should acknowledge teachers. After the break, because we're about to go on a quick break, I'm going to ask you to talk to us about the importance of teachers within society, especially as they were back then, the way they were revered, right? Unlike the way they are today. Is that okay?
Yes. That's fine.
Excellent.
I look forward to that.
Okay, we'll be right back after this break.
Without choice, there's no loyalty.
We remain loyal to bringing you the details and stories around the world.
The boys in that environment were just shooting up, pursuing them.
Shooting?
I escaped that place in a whisker.
Oh, AP, PDP, they are comedians.
I'm not going to come to this platform to
This is an infomercial. Only on 95.3
Dodge Rentals.
Are you still with us, Prof?
I'm with you. Yes.
Okay, so before we went on break, sorry, go ahead.
Yes. Now I'm saying we're all together, as they say in Lagos. We're all together.
Now here we die, as they say in Nigeria. So before we went on break, I said I wanted to talk to you about the respect that teachers had in the old days, if you like. And one of the things you mentioned in your article, or which you call an essay, is the fact that teachers are not, and I quote, teachers are not celebrities, so no one celebrates them. But there was a time when we celebrated teachers in our society. Over to you.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's why it's one of the reasons why I became a teacher. Because those were the celebrities I knew. I think it's twofold. On one side, because the society, the world has just gone to be what it wants to be, which is not a good thing overall. But I also think that teachers have a lot of fault in this. I think the society does not respect teachers, partly because teachers do not respect themselves.
What do you mean by that? Let me interrupt you. What do you mean by that?
You see, I think teachers have lost the ethos of what it is to be a teacher. So there are two things. Number one, if you do what I call a sober self-analysis, teachers have lost two things. Number one is that teachers do not see themselves as the priest of knowledge anymore. Partly because they don't know as much as they ought to do. There was a time in the world when the brightest minds were the teachers. There's a lot of people today who are in teaching who should not be there. So they don't even see themselves, as big. They don't see themselves. I like that phrase. I want to repeat it as the priest of knowledge. Those who administer knowledge, who bring knowledge. Those that are your bridge between your dreams, your aspirations, and a better life. Teachers don't see themselves that way. And the other problem is that teachers, at some point, instead of standing out, they started conforming to the world. So that if they try to compare themselves like traders or merchants or artisans or business people or any kind of rich people, of course they're going to lose out. But they've lost the kind of contentment to know that, look, this is not me. I do not need to wear trendy clothes. I'm a teacher. I do not need to appear that way. I do not need to go to where other people go to. I think teachers have lost that. So it's a mix of lack of sense of self-worth, lack of competence, and then lack of a world view that is typical to being a teacher. And then, of course, the rest of the world does not help matter. Many people forget it, but you see, the etymology of the word teacher, which comes from Lois, is a very ancient word which people don't use anymore. It actually means slave to knowledge, in which for you to be a maestro, to be a teacher, to be somebody that imparts knowledge in other people,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be so much engaged in knowledge yourself that you question everything that you're about to do.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do it because it's tradition. You don't do it because that is what is done or that is just the norm. You ask yourself, what is the essence of this? So that at any given point, if you are with anybody, whether a child or an adult, anywhere you're found, you should have a reason for why you're there. You should have a reason for the stance you're taking or whatever you're doing. So we don't get teachers in that mold anymore. To that extent, teachers are meant to, or teaching should be a vocation, not a job.
It's a job.
It should be something that you are called into, that you feel you find the profile of doing. So that is the thing that teachers themselves are committed on themselves because they are called. But then, of course, the society has not helped either because values have shifted. So when you live in a society where, and this is not just the Nigerians and generally, where people are measured by what they have, not what they know. People are measured by how much they can buy, what they can give. Of course, the value system changes it changes the dynamic.
Yeah.
And that is where we are. And so we're in a place today now where people find it, convenient to say, I don't know. You should be ashamed of yourself if you don't know. I tell people, we don't want to find out.
Really? Is it shame not to have knowledge of something?
Yeah, but you should just find out. You should keep learning. Don't.
But if you were to say something to me, so for instance, you are pretty much, one of my go-tos when it comes to social science and strategy and political strategy, yada, yada, yada. Now you say something to me that I don't know. Is it wrong for me to say I don't know? Isn't what I'm saying isn't the admission of not knowing an intention to seek knowledge in the first place?
Yes, you're right. If it's an admission and a request for knowledge.
Yeah.
But if it's something you proudly say, I don't know, leave me alone in my ignorance.
Okay.
Or if you say to me, come to my level, that word is too big.
Oh, yeah.
Get a dictionary.
Yeah, I get it.
These are of everybody saying, break it down, come to my level. It's rather than growing society, it's bringing society down.
Interesting.
The idea of saying that we must know that most people are not knowledgeable, so therefore we should reduce the level of knowledge, is something that doesn't help the society overall. And I made note of something that is not just for the vanity of teachers, that teachers should be respected. It is also because there is an index, there's a correlation between society, whether it's in time or space, i.e., history across the world. Societies that respect teaching and teachers tend to be societies that are wealthier and are more orderly. Societies in time and space that has no respect for teaching, knowledge, and teachers also tend to be societies that are poorer, more corrupt, and more prone to disorder.
Okay.
Because the
Go
first
ahead.
two things you learn in school, the first two things education teaches you, we don't take note of it. The first two things you learn in school are order and patterns. That is why you see young children, we make them put things in colors, we make them put things in shape, we make them arrange it. Because the first formation of the brain, like a muscle, is order and pattern. Now, whatever you want to do to teach you what is first, what is second, you arrange them. And when you see these things, how do they go together?
Yeah.
That is the origin of order. And that is where value comes from. That is why you would know that you should let somebody go before you. That is how you learn to heal. But where knowledge and teaching and teachings are not respected, that is why somebody behind you driving on the road would think they can go past you. That is why somebody thinks they can just bribe or beg just because they want something.
Yeah.
That is why somebody will interrupt whilst you're speaking. Or you will be on the trying to get the attention of a teller, a receptionist, or any kind of customer service person, and somebody will come behind you and just pass the slip over you and say, "Do you have this, madam?" And you just say, "Okay." That is involution.
Yeah.
Or they've missed that beat. you know the education is not complete.
Thank you.
And they're not evil,
Mm-hmm.
just stupid.
Oh, now, okay, so here's the thing. Let's talk about that word, stupid, which is a word that every single person, and it's across the world, find most offensive. What is the definition of stupid? Especially since you're a professor. What is the definition of stupid?
Stupid is when you do not have the basic understanding of things.
Right.
Let's put it that way. And it tends to be not when one is sick,
Mm-hmm.
but when one does not know what one ought to know.
Mm.
So, so the idea is to say it's a general lack of intelligence or common sense. But we have to look at common sense as giving knowledge that permeates our life. That is something that is totally around us.
Mm-hmm.
So that water wet, we think it's common sense, but it's actually experience. A little child, until the day they try water, they know it's wet or fire burn, it's not common sense to them. It's experience that made them know it. So if you live in a culture where people should say good morning when it's each other, somebody who doesn't say good morning is stupid. You can then see the stupidity, is it pathological or is it just lack of infused education?
Mm.
And that's the point of that. So it's a knowledge test.
Okay. Thank you. So you went on to say, and Lagos, I'm going to be answering your calls any moment soon. Just hang in there, but we do need to have a robust conversation so you know what you're contributing to. You go on to say, and I'm quoting, I'm reading from your article here, a sober and objective introspection will leave us with no option but to admit that whilst on one side, many of us have done well in teaching subjects, at least most of our students can count, read and write. Most of us have not done well in interpreting our roles as priests of the temple of knowledge. We have not done enough in teaching our students, and consequently the world, that teachers are not just the key to knowledge and bridge to the realization of dreams and desires, but are also makers of men, creators of leaders, and custodians of our future. You go on to say, let us be clear, a teacher cannot inspire us. A teacher that cannot inspire us is not worthy of the title teacher, especially when conceived as a maestro. A teacher that bullies, harasses, or extorts students is an anathema to teaching. So let's come back to that. Oh, leadership. What you said about when we are in primary school or, sort of nursery school, how children are taught order because you're taught, if you like, the Lego knowledge. I call it the Lego knowledge, how to build blocks, etc., make shape, colors, etc.
Yes.
Let's come to that, and the way that, if you like, that behavior that's taught as a child is actually no longer evident, not just in our society, but even predominantly in our leaders. Talk to me about that.
Oh, yes. You see, that idea of teaching order, and I mean, order is not keep quiet. Order is the idea to know that if you want to get to somewhere at 8 o'clock, you must ask yourself, what time do I leave home?
Mm-hmm.
That is the sense of order. To know that this comes before that. That's the sense of order. To know priority is determined by value. That comes from teaching of order. The fact that those kind of lessons are lost, that is why we find ourselves in a lot of mess.
Mm.
To know that if I stand up and shout in a place where people are, it doesn't make sense. It would disrupt the order.
Mm.
That is why, for example, you find people in the lift or in a lounge, and they just play something from their phone. Or, somebody sits beside you, maybe on a plane, and they make irrelevant calls, or at least calls that are not essential.
Mm-hmm.
Because somewhere along the line, people have not taught us anymore. We've refused to learn about privacy. I argue that not enough emphasis are made on that. or people just think about themselves. You see, and that is lack of sense of society. If you then take it up to the leadership, because we're not taught or we refuse to take as important the lessons of patterns and orders, we become self-centered.
Right.
And that is why leaders can then lose the sense of what it is to be a leader, to know that they're there for other people. And that is why followers as well can now lose the sense of what is it to be a citizen, rather than just a follower or just a partisan or just for identity's sake. Because somewhere that essence of being a human being, the Homo sapiens, who survives by reasoning, who survives by thinking rather than by instinct, that is why we can lose that and focus on gratification, instant gratification, rather than deferring and planning.
Okay. If I may interrupt
And
you.
that's why yes.
Lots of calls have been coming in, so now I have to answer a call. Hello? Hello?
Is it okay?
Yes, good afternoon. Coco, is that you?
Happy Independence with you and their guests.
Oh,
One
okay.
of the supporters of teachers. She said, I want to do everything I get said together concerning teachers. Number one, due to oligarchy of some governments, bank remuneration of teachers our teachers are no longer respected. 70s, 80s, 90s, our teachers were respected. If I see my primary school teacher front, I will run. Today, teachers are no longer respected, maybe because of the modus operandi. And I agree with their guest. He said the teachers are conforming to the world because of what is observable in this era. How many private schools do we have? When I entered primary school from 1987 until I entered secondary school. Now, a private school everywhere. Now, National Assembly, I don't even remember people that talk to them. I can never forget my English teacher.
I need you to wrap up. Yeah, go on.
So, and yes, I can compete with any professor of history. The first book I read was Ever Go to School, followed by Concubine, followed by Macbeth.
Oh,
Thank you very
nice.
much.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for Koboko. Thank you for that. It's very interesting. Hello? Oops. Okay. Hello? Okay. Lagos, you can call. I will be answering your calls as often as I can, although I am cautious about interrupting Prof when he's talking. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, Chief Miss Ireti Bakare.
Oh, Chief Mister, good afternoon.
You snooze, you lose.
Indeed they do. They snooze you. Somebody snoozed and lost, but we're not going to talk about them. Go ahead. What do you have to say about teachers?
Oh, my God. Good afternoon, sir.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Chief Miss Ireti Bakare.
Yes, sir.
When Prof was speaking, you know where I cast my mind back to?
Go ahead.
The immediate past Minister of Education.
Okay.
And all the people that are running affairs in this country. Yoruba Somashio. Prof, is in Nigeria.
Prof, he's in Nigeria. Yeah. Prof, you can hear me. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
Anthony. Hello?
I can hear you.
Yes, but you can't. Can you hear my caller?
No, I can't hear the caller. You have
Unfortunately.
to do as we do for the
Okay.
over your where you.
Okay. All right. I'll tell you what he said later. Go ahead, Chief Mister. I need you to wrap up. Go ahead.
Like I said, Yoruba with so much you. So we have people like this as a Nigerian, and we allow these people that are running the affairs of this country. Did you hear what he said? When you say no, that is stupid. Did you hear that?
I'm listening.
When you say don't be stupid, they will pick offense. Gosh. Where did you get it wrong?
Thank you very much. Where did we get it wrong? I am going to be asking Prof that. Where did we get it wrong? Hello? Hello? You need to turn your radio off, please. Okay. When you call, please switch off your radio. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Timothy calling from Lagos Island.
Okay, Timothy, go ahead. You have a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm so interested in and what is also affecting me today is most of the people who we call teachers, they are not qualified to be teachers. Some
Mm-hmm.
of them, they don't even attend any college of education, uh, institute of education.
Mm-hmm.
None of them. Then these people, this type of people cannot actually present what is right for the students because they are not qualified. You find out some of them are just a graduate. They are not educationists.
Okay,
Some of them are just a living school certificate. They are not educationists.
I
So
get
what are
you.
they going to impart
Do you
to
have
the
a
students?
question for Prof?
Yeah, the question I want to have, Prof, is, Prof, can you please come up and have something to do for us in this country?
He lives in this country.
Yes, I want him to come up because those who are the aim of affairs, they are not doing things good for us.
Okay, I shall put it to
Yes,
him. Thank you.
yes.
Thank you so much. We only have 45 seconds before break. If I answer your call, can you do it in 45 seconds? Hello?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Prince Emmanuel M. Carlos. I'm calling from Lagos.
Prince Emmanuel, come closer to your phone. Apparently, you have a minute and a half. Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to appreciate this particular topic
Mm-hmm.
in respect of appreciating the teachers. I am a product of what Prof described as the early beginning and
Mm-hmm.
the particular experiences he had with his father and those that molded his early beginning and the way of life that he had chosen.
Mm-hmm.
I am very, very grateful for such, enunciation. And I am very, very grateful also that I remember to call the only person I have her number as a teacher within that date they were being celebrated. But that's the best I could do. I wish I had the numbers of those who gave me the early start in life. It would have been such a wonderful idea.
You can call that teacher out if you want. If you want to name your teacher, go ahead. Do you remember the name? Do you remember the name of that teacher?
I remember Mr. Uduka. He was such a wonderful
Where did he
person.
teach? What school? So he will know which Uduka you're talking about. What
No,
school?
it's been a long time. That was about 1970.
What
when
school?
We all started
What school?
At Amogudu Community School, Abriba.
Okay,
In
great.
Abia State.
Great.
Yes.
Great.
He was such a wonderful person. He had this white Bible that is always on his pocket. So I was wondering when I would grow up, I will also have such Bible.
Oh.
And it was such a stirring experience. And I got so lucky that every state in my early beginning, the teachers had a very wonderful idea of taking me for a special session, carrying their register, doing my homework, writing and all that. So I benefited a lot.
Excellent.
My handwriting was such a wonderful art of craft, and it helps me. I'm trying to pass out to my children. And but my question is,
Go ahead.
Prof seems to have feeling about life, and such an idea doesn't have friends. And of course, for you higher in life, you don't need as many friends as possible. And just like it happened to me, I don't think.
I need your question. I need your question. You're about to be cut off. What's your question?
Okay, I'm asking, does he have so many friends? Because his ideas are quite stirring.
Oh, Prof, you mean I should tell him. You know what? That's one of the best questions you can ask him. I shall write it down and put it to him. Right? Stay listening. I will be asking. In fact, I'm looking forward to asking him that question after the break because he can't hear you. Thank you so much. We're going on a quick break. We'll be right back.
I won't tell you now about one revolutionary product from one German company. Them call them Knauf Majestic Skimming Plaster. E no need bonding agent or POP pen to mix them. Now just water, you fit mix them and still use them after 24 hours. E no
some questions. I don't know how many you'll be able to answer. So one of my callers, Chief Mister, said, how did we get here? How did we get to the point where teachers, the quality of teaching and the teachers itself or themselves are of pretty much of the same dire quality, if you like? One of my other callers said, what is it that can be done, and what can you, as a professor and of course director at CAPS, what can you do with your organization? And the third question, which I'd like you to answer first, I think, is, do you have any friends? Because from the way you talk, it sounds, I didn't say that too. I didn't answer that question. That last question is what I want you to answer first.
Well, I get about friends. I mean, I hope I have friends. I mean, there are people I consider friends. I hope they consider me as friends as well. Talking of my school experience, one of my shocking moments was one day the teacher said to us, I think I must have been in nursery 2 or prep or something like that, to choose your best friends. And I chose one guy, and he did not choose me. That is one of the first shocks of my life. I think that has affected my relationship with you forever. I remember clearly. Funny though, the chap, we're now friends today. Yes, I do have friends. You know, some people are supposed to be my friends. Once you understand me,
yes,
you get on. You can always expect me to tell you the way it is.
Absolutely.
So how did we get here? We got here because with values change. And I say one, and that will lead us to what can we do about it. I blame teachers for how we got there.
Oh.
I blame teachers because, because they lost the sense of their profession and they allowed things to happen to them. Because a lot of what is happening in our society, if you look at the way politicians treat ASU, you will know that those politicians have no respect for their teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, and I say this almost in a cocky way, but the fact is, I do not think any of my students would treat me shabbily if they got into a position of power, because of what they've taken away from my classroom. And because we talk about it. And I want to use this medium to thank all those people who sent me Happy Teachers Day message. Lots of them.
Oh,
By
really?
the way, I noticed they were all... Yes, I got a lot. I got about 27 messages and I stopped counting.
And you said you noticed, very quickly before I cut you off to the news, you said you noticed they were all...
Well, that's a personal thing. I know what's going on in the world.
Okay.
By the way, I noticed...
we've got... Hold on. We've got to go to the news. We have to go to the news headlines. A couple of minutes, we'll be back.
It's 2 o'clock.
bro. 0700 or you can use the female only line. No, not you. Oh, no. 101-465-7190. I have a WhatsApp message here. It says, "Good afternoon. My take on the subject matter about teachers is that many teachers have resorted to teaching as the last option to survival. Okay, for survival, not for passion. That's why most of them have changed the narrative. Those who still know the aim are still standing tall, but overshadowed by many wrong ones." That's Friday from Shango Tedo. Excellent points, Friday. Prof, so before we went on break, you said you wanted to thank all those people who sent you messages. Please finish that sentence before I go to the calls.
Oh, yes, I really want to thank them, because it shows that, it's heartwarming. They send very nice messages. I wouldn't even say those kind of things they said about me. I wouldn't say it about myself. I think
Many of us wouldn't say that about you either, but go on.
They exaggerate my virtues. I note, though, and I use this forum to say that as well, I know that the message were from past students, not present one. I think the present one are not me. I do say it's entry level only after they've left, not once they're under the drill, I guess. So
Indeed.
I guess that's what goes like.
Indeed.
So
yeah, go on.
How did we got here to answer that question? By the way, the last message made a very excellent point, as you rightly said. We got here because young people got into teaching. People who should not be there got into the profession. I blame those who employ them, because if it's for survival, a lot of people would like to be dancers, but they're not allowed to be dancers because they are measured every day by their dancing. And that's the fault of managers, of leaders of teaching, who allow just anybody to get there. Then once they got there, many of them, of course, because they shouldn't be there in the first place, they didn't have the sense of the profession. And you see, when we say how did we get here, it's not just how education went down. It's also an index of how society then got down. Because people were not taught the right thing. Because wrong people are in the profession for survival, not for teaching. That is why they can resort to bullying, harassment, and extortion. Because they do not get the sense of their profession. What can we do about it? Is the other question. There are two responses. There is an institutional response and what I call an individual and community response. These two responses share one thing in common. We have to review unlearned lessons. We have to discover or rediscover the value of education and the value of those that are offering education. So we have to consider them important. Once we consider that, on an institutional level, the government has to know that education is truly important, throw more money at it, at the infrastructures, at the teachers, at the learning in general, and make some radical reforms. So if I was in charge of managing education in Nigeria, for example, one of the first things I would do is to abolish or change the colleges of education. So instead of people going to do NCE because they couldn't get into university, I would make our colleges of education postgraduate centers.
Right.
So that anybody that will teach from nursery to above will have a degree in first, then will then learn how to teach as a postgraduate education. So you study chemistry or medicine or mathematics as your first degree. Then if you then decide I want to be a teacher, you will then go and get a postgraduate degree in teaching, because it is one thing to know something, it is another thing to know how to teach it. You have to learn how to communicate, how to inspire, how to discipline, how to correct, how to guide.
Yeah.
That is what the pedagogy teaches you, the real art of teaching. You have to learn that. It's not enough to get a degree. If you create a system where people who couldn't get into university go and get a teaching qualification, then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
That's already wrong. So that is one thing institution can do. The other thing institution can also do is to hands off management of teaching. Let teachers decide who's going to be the headmaster, the principal, or the vice chancellor, not somebody from outside.
Right.
Let them decide based on merit, experience, and a track record of managing education. It is possible for somebody to decide that I just want to teach. I don't want to be a principal. I don't want to be a vice chancellor. I just want to teach. That's all.
Yeah.
And let that person earn well and don't need to rush. You see, Nigeria, everybody wants to be managing director.
Yeah.
Whereas it shouldn't be so. If you look at big corporations that are successful in the world, I don't want to mention anybody because of the media, but people know the faces of big corporations. How many people know the owner or the MD of CNN or BBC? You know the Ireti Bakare-Yusuf. You don't know who's behind it. It shouldn't matter. You should just know who are doing the service. But unfortunately, everybody head here, and that's another problem. So those are two things institutions can do. What we can do individually and as a community, once we've rediscovered the value of teaching and teachers, we can personally go and appreciate our own past teachers and show respect to our present teachers or the teachers of our children. To actually see them for what they are. So, for example, people say teachers are not earning enough. I say two things. Let's leave the young people. Imagine everybody, if everybody over 40 years old in the world, or even 5% of the people over 40 years old in the world, can decide that in their lives, they will give the worth of $100 to their teachers in a year. Not a month, not quarterly, in 1 year, which is about less than $10 a month. We just say, I will give back to my teachers. This will go a long way in the life of teachers, and it will encourage teachers to be better teachers. That is on one side. If everybody, whether you're a farmer, a mechanic, or hairdresser, or a broadcaster, decide to help teachers wherever you can, because you show respect, you appreciate them, they will feel better as well. And it's not just to gratify them, it's to be better in the classroom. Because when you're better in the classroom, we should have better doctors, officers, and better drivers. So that those people who drive and do not care about the route of the road, there'll be less of them. I think that is what we can do to get out of it. So institutions and individuals to respond.
Thank you, and that's very balanced. Let's answer more calls. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Michael Oban, calling from Victoria Island.
Michael, go ahead. You have 1 minute.
Such a small world. The guy that said his teacher is from Abreba, I'm from Abreba, so kudos to his teacher.
Okay, wonderful. We like that.
I have a lot of teaching. Let me just ask for one with a declining level of education. Has he been able to? Is there a science to it?
Okay, thank you. I will ask him. Okay, right. I have. What do I have here? Cecilia, thank God for teachers. Yeah, indeed. Thank God for teachers. Please, can you name the teachers of the following from primary to university? You people are so cheeky. How am I supposed to do? All the quite very cheeky Danfo conversationers. Very, very cheeky. You want to know mine? Well, incidentally, I don't remember my primary school teacher. I can tell you. What can I tell you? I can tell you my French teacher, okay, and I didn't like him. Seriously, I didn't. I had a French teacher who I didn't like, and I actually like the language, and I'm very sure I would have been able to speak French now if it wasn't for that teacher. He was a male, and I didn't like him. I literally didn't like him. It's funny when people talk about their teachers and schools and everything in this country. I went to school in England, and can I be frank with you? I don't care. I really don't think. I'm really finding. I would have to ask my sister because we're in school together. I'm finding it hard to remember. Oh, I know who I liked. My classics teacher, and I can't remember his name. He used to teach us classics. He was nice. He was gentle, but I was also very interested in classics. I find it, I found the way the shenanigans back in those days so very exciting. My sports teacher I didn't like because I wasn't particularly sporty. Religious education, or I went to a Church of England school. I just thought, well, whatever, God and all that. So, and my maths. Here's the thing: I liked literature very much. I don't know if that was about that was because of my teacher, because I honestly don't remember I don't even remember. I honestly would have to ask my teacher what the name was. Like, what's the name is here laughing. That's just me. Some people remember these things. You know me, I'm going to be frank with you. What I don't remember, I don't remember. But I'll tell you who the greatest teacher in life has been. The greatest teacher that I would never swap for any other teacher in the world. And that's my mother. My late mother, Alhaja Jari Seriki, is the person who was the greatest teacher to me. And guess what the irony of it was? She was never taught to read. She taught herself how to read. Marianne is waving to me and sending me kisses. Sorry, so I got distracted. So she taught herself how to read in Yoruba, literally in front of me and my sisters. She would open the Yoruba alphabet book and she would read it to us, and I'm getting emotional now. And she would practice how to write her name. Of course, if she was alive today, she'd be over 100 because she died, incidentally, 20 years ago this month. 1st of October was her anniversary. But this woman who was not allowed to go to school taught herself, and it's because she had an interest in education. She wanted to learn, right? And she was a child of a Seriki and all of that stuff. But because she had that interest, because she taught herself, and she taught herself to write. And here's the thing, when I look at Prof. And he said, people, it's true. And I think the God's honest truth is, I was having this conversation with my girlfriend just the other day. In all honesty, we all forget something. If nobody ever taught us how to read, we would never know how to write. In nursery school, you're taught, even at home, you're taught how to write A and B and C. And it's from recognizing those alphabets, you recognize words when they put together, and then you're able to write. So my mother, when she learns to write her name in front of me, and I'm not joking, right? I am proud, mad proud of her. It looked like, because she was learning as an adult, it looked like somebody writing with their left hand. So here's the cheeky monkey that I was, and my sisters were. If we wanted to forge a signature, we will write it with our left hand. Because that's literally because she wasn't taught to write as a child. And yet this woman ensured that we were educated. And it wasn't good enough for her that we went to any school. She paid money for us to be educated, the kind of education that she didn't get. So if that answers your question, that's the best I can do. But for me, that's the teacher of my life. And that's the teacher that I miss every second of my existence. I miss that woman like crazy. If they said bring anybody back from the dead, most of you will pick Jesus. I would pick my mother, and that's the truth. Prof, over to you. You have questions. Say that again.
Yes, I'm with you. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. You said something earlier. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Just go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So
I just gave what we can do about the situations, which was the institutional responses and individual community responses.
Yeah. I wanted to come back on that, and because you were talking about the quality of teaching, because many people, and last, I think it was Friday, who said that people are just going into teaching now, not because they want to, but because it's what's available. In Nigeria, and this is going to be very controversial, and so I can put it to you, I would even go as far as to argue that NYSC is part of that problem. I honestly find it very disturbing for me that when people are assigned NYSC jobs, they are sent to communities, right, to be teachers without having been taught how to teach. I
think we cannot call it criminal, but I think it's a sin
that
the Nigerian state society has committed by sending coppers to go and teach. It's a very terrible thing that they've done. By the way, I am on the extreme. Left to me, NYSC would either be abolished or be made a voluntary scheme. So
yes.
Focus on the field.
Yes. I agree.
That is my position on NYSC. But when it comes to teaching in particular, it's very wrong. What NYSC should be doing is to give people an opportunity to learn about different cultures and maybe to apply some of the things they've learned, by learning. But we should exempt one place from it, and that should be teaching, because, and the fact that we don't, I was going to say because it's an important sector of our life. You see, the fact that we do not see that way, the fact that we do not see education of our children as so important that we can allow anybody to go into the classroom. When I say anybody, I mean anybody who's not prepared for that function, shows us how little value we place on education.
Yeah.
That already is an index of the kind of low value we place on education. Because if we did, we wouldn't do that. Now, let me show you why I think that thing is evil. The people who make that policy, their children don't go to schools where coppers teach.
Thank you.
And that is evil.
That is evil.
You see, evil is to know what is good and to do what is
wrong, what is bad. Yes.
Wrong. That is evil. And, for those who like the scriptures, the Bible talk about the wicked, the Bible talk about the fool. They're two different things. When you do something you don't know, you're foolish. But when you know what is right and you do what is wrong, that is really evil. Because the people who destroy education save their own children from that destruction they've created.
Thank you.
And they send their children to school.
Yeah.
Thank you. And it just shows you that there is something very wrong. And the only way to save the situation is for people to understand education is the best thing they can give their children and to get involved in the education.
Yeah.
I argue that people should go back to their old schools and be involved. People should go to their community schools. So take, for example, if anybody leaves any area, let's think of people who are staff, like their drivers or the junior staff. If they are competent and involved in the school around them, and make sure the schools are better managed because of the support they get in the community, there will be less need for people to go to private school, and there will be less need to steal, to beg and bribe to be able to afford those schools. So, if people can the pathway to say, look, education is very important for my children. You see, the problem we have, and we go back to the problem of lack of good education. Our mindset as a people is to cut corners. We want good school, do everything to get money to pay for it. Rather than say, how can you inherit my talent and my ideas to what I want to achieve? We just want to buy our way through. And buy our way and worship anything that will give us money.
Excellent.
So people still...
I need to interrupt you.
Live out of their means.
Yeah, go on.
So people live beyond their means because they want to afford the basics. Whereas they could just fight for the basics or make it happen.
Thank you. I have a message here from Chris. Come to that call that's ringing before we close. I have a message here from Chris from Accra. He said, "Hi, Sissy, I'm just joining in a few minutes back. Help me shout out my teachers. Spencer FM, a good teacher at Hope Waddle Training Institute in Calabar, and Reverend Frank Kokoron. Am I pronouncing it well? We call him Papa. Rector and Irish priest of Immaculate Conception Seminary in Ifom Singh. Is it Ifom Singh? I'm really bad. I know that somewhere in Calabar, in Famo Singh. They're looking at me and give me funny looks. They made indelible mark on my life as a man. Excellent. I can tell that, Chris. Let me answer that call. Whoever you are, you're going to have less than 30 seconds because I need Chris. I need Prof to close. So I did not. Why you're all calling? Okay, let's go. We're gonna do 30 seconds each. Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Very quickly, 30 seconds. Good. Go ahead.
You are part of my teacher, so I want to greet you too, Mrs. Oboli.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Love you too. Thank you so much. Hello. Okay, you snooze, you lose. That's where we're at right now. We have, how long have we got left? Right. We have about 2 minutes left. Prof, what message do you want to leave us with?
Well, I think message, we should just review our view on education. We should just find a way in our art to do two things. One, generally, to rediscover the importance of teaching and teachers. And second, whilst at it, anybody who can should reach out to any teacher they know who has impacted their lives.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Let me tell you, Lagos, this, as I tell you, one of the important things about Danfo Conversation is we cross learn. I learn from you, you learn from me, and we both learn from our guests. So big thank you. You know what professor means? You all know that professor means to pass on knowledge. So we have to say thank you to Prof, because he's here today to pass on knowledge to us. Professor Anthony Killer, I'm always picking your brain. Thank you for always, even when you know that you shouldn't answer my call, you still answer, much to your chagrin. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And thank you to all the producers.
Wonderful. And Lagos, thank you so much. Reach out to your teacher, even if it's just to send them a message this weekend, even if it's just to buy them one Capri Sun or whatever, I don't know, cake or whatever. Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless all the teachers.
For me.
Okay.
Mention me to your teachers.
Mention the teachers? Go ahead.
Mr. Ajayi.
Mention me to your teachers.
Oh, they should mention. Okay, I have somebody else here. Go on. Mention your teacher.
Mrs. Santos.
Mrs. Santos. Okay. All right. Somebody has just sent a message saying, help me say thank you to 2 of my secondary school teachers. No, Miss Ezea Kacha, Miss Lawal Faniyi, all of Shasha Community High School, Lagos. And my best friend in the world is a teacher. Bye, Lagos.
This is an infomercial. 99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria FM, on Instagram at Nigeria Info.